Well, hello again, everybody. This is John Norris at Trading Perspectives. As always, we have our good friends Sam Clement and Courtney Truss. Y'all say hello.
How's it going?
Hey, John.
Hey, guys. Listen, obviously, recently there's been a sensitive topic out there using social media influencers and all that stuff. And unless you've really been in a cave or not really consuming any sort of media at all, you know that Bud Light has gotten, boy, the debate over it is fever pitched because they use trans activist Dylan Mulvaney to maybe influence people to drink the beer. And all of a sudden you had some very prominent entertainers, guys like Kid Rock, goes out there, takes, I think, an AR-15 or some other sort of firearm and blows up 4 or 5 cases of Bud Light. Of course, he had to buy the Bud Light. Exactly. He had to spend some money to do that. But at least he got his point across, I guess. And that's called for a lot of people to boycott the brand and all that stuff. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a marketing decision to do this, Sam.
It was a marketing decision, and I think, it's something that's increasingly more popular is using these kinds of people, influencers, people that are famous mostly through social media to kind of do a little more targeted ads.
Well, and also think about maybe in John's generation of growing up, you consumed advertising through print ads, through magazines, and also through TV, right?
Yeah, of course.
When you actually had to watch commercials to watch a show that you wanted to watch. But now we consume shows and everything without commercials. And so how are people able to reach consumers? And no longer can they ignore the elephant in the room, which is social media.
Well, you're absolutely right. And apparently this particular person, this Dylan person, has 1.8 million followers or something like that on Instagram. Yeah. TikTok feed, I think, is some 10 million. I don't know what almost came out of my mouth. And it's just one of those deals that this person has a lot of people that potentially, these are eyeballs to marketers.
Right.
And so for marketers, they're going, okay, let's take a look at this. This has a lot of people that are following this person. And the Bud Light marketing crew probably sitting there going, okay, I can tell you what, the average Bud Light drinker is 60% male, and overwhelmingly, Sam, I'd like to say 21, but probably a little bit
15,
younger than that.
16,
15, 16, all the way up to maybe 40, 45, I'd be willing to guess.
You think 60% is male? I would think that percentage would be higher than that.
Well, it's actually a little bit higher than that. It's like 61%. So there you have it.
I was thinking like 75.
No, that's for Bud Heavies. For Bud Heavies, it is
Bud
closer.
Diesels,
it's about 70 to 75%. For the Bud Light, it's about 60% male, and right there in that sweet spot, people that are using more social media than older folks, simply. And so the marketing department's sitting there going, okay, we want to increase our market share with females and with younger people. Maybe they're thinking this Dylan person could be a good way of going. But they probably also didn't anticipate the backlash. But ultimately, Sam, Courtney, it really doesn't matter if there's a backlash from Kid Rock and some other people. If they can get enough other people to start consuming the brand, and if sales actually go up, then all of a sudden, hey, what a brilliant decision. The marketing department's a genius. However, if sales go down, I think the person who okayed this, think their job should be on the chopping block.
And it's what's interesting and unique about social media's ability to target certain individuals, certain demographics. I mean, you could be selling your product and say, I want to target 18 to 35-year-old men that like to hunt or golf or whatever, and there's people who a large percentage of their following is people that fit into that space. So instead of just blasting something out on TV to whoever happens to be watching TV, you can get extremely targeted and probably more cost effective with the type of advertising that you're doing, and I think it really is pushing to be kind of the next
wave. Or you
wave.
could just move your business to Alabama, and then you'd have your target market just surrounded
everywhere.
you. Everywhere.
That would be true. Yeah. I think what's interesting in reading a Forbes article from last year, 2022, they talked about 90% of people are much more inclined to purchase an item that is recommended, even if it's recommended by a stranger.
Really?
Yes. I mean, would y'all think that you're more inclined to buy something that's recommended from someone either you know or you don't know versus...
I mean, I would tell you this, Courtney. As you know, I'll be double nickels next month. I'm kind of setting my ways on my brand preferences. I kind of know what I like and what I don't like. Probably not going to take for a product such as Bud Light, which, truthfully, I don't much care for. I'm not going to be influenced by someone. Well, if it's a brand new product or service I'm not familiar with, that I don't have brand loyalty, yeah, of course I'm going to take reviews, I'm going to listen to people. And even when you go to a restaurant, how many times have you gone onto Google reviews or Yelp or whatnot and read some reviews? However,
you are a reviewer, right?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I am. But the thing
You're an
is,
influencer yourself.
well, how about that? But the thing is, when I'm doing those types of reviews, I don't rely on just one.
Well,
I mean,
right.
I go through any number of them and get a general consensus.
Everybody relies on it in some form or another. I mean, we were looking at hotels for our trip coming up in a few weeks, and we wanted to ask people that we knew if there was one that they recommended, because, you know, if you're kind of getting yourself into something, you'd rather, you know, people you respect and know like the same thing before you kind of go all in on it. And that's what social media and influencers have done, is you now feel like you know these people you've probably never met before, probably never will meet, and you feel like you know them really well. You feel like you're good friends with them, and so their you know, validation of a product or service or what have you is much more important than just some random, you know, spokesperson on TV.
And the thing is, Courtney, from what I understand, Sam and Anna decided that they're going to stay at the Ye Old Comfort Inn. I think that's right.
Yep. inside the airport.
Only the best of the best.
We'll leave the light on.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting, kind of to your point, like word of mouth drives roughly $6 trillion in annual global spending and is responsible for 13% of all sales. So clearly, I mean, you're hitting on something that does resonate with a lot of people. And I even think of, you know, something that I consume that y'all both know that I love very much.
Your Stanley
is
Cups?
My Stanley
Highly
Cup.
inconvenient Stanley Cup.
It is extremely convenient.
It's a
Not only-
massive-
It
It's
has
a
a
massive
massive handle.
vessel.
You have to hold it with your arm up like this to keep from spilling water.
No, you don't. You can hold your thumb on the lid and
So
you
you
can
can't
carry
just-
it down. Anyway,
This is a digression. I
yes,
think.
it is a digression. It's not inconvenient for this person who consumes it, and it can also be used as a weapon. Should I ever be attacked, I could hit somebody over the head with it, and I'd be safe.
Well,
so
wouldn't that be embarrassing?
Yeah.
To be the person who got knocked out by a pastel water bottle.
it's
By
metal.
Courtney Trust.
But all that to say, I follow someone on Instagram, and they found these cups. They're like, oh my gosh, they're perfect. You can fit them in your cup holder in your car, and I am like a walking advertisement for them as well. And I've had told many people, and they've gone out and bought them. And yes, they're a little ridiculous for what they are, but
Extremely
there,
ridiculous.
but there is a following to it, and I'm telling you, because that Instagram, they're like, hey, insider information of when these come out, and then they'll vet, to your point, like they have inside pictures of like, hey, we went on this vacation and this was our hotel room, and it's not those custom pictures that always make the room look larger than it is. I mean, it's okay, that's realistic. Or hey, I'm wearing these jeans, I liked these, I didn't like these, and you're like, oh, okay, well my body type is similar to hers, so I'm gonna buy them. Or hey, there's a lightning deal, like go on Amazon and get this. Like, I don't have time to be on Instagram or be on Amazon all the time, like searching for these deals. So if I have a little snippet where I can just click the button, they make it so easy right off Instagram, I'm buying it, I'm consuming
It
it.
sounds like Courtney's very susceptible to influencers and other
Yes.
people's opinions.
Well,
Target market.
Whereas I'm not really terribly much. I would tell you, a recommendation from a stranger, I don't really know, because I'm cynical enough to think, why are they recommending this? They must have some skin in the game, because that's just the way I am, Courtney.
well, and now if you look, people have to, or I think that there was something legal. Sam mentioned it, but you know, that they have to disclose if they were paid to advertise for that product. So I will say that I look at that a little bit more carefully than I would if they don't have like paid advertisement in the.
I mean, well, this is
information.
clearly not either way. This is kind of the next wave of marketing, and it makes sense. I mean, comparing it to, you know, kind of the king of all commercials being Super Bowl commercials, it
Yeah.
cost what, $6-7 million
Just
for a
ridiculous.
30-second
Just
clip.
ridiculous
Yes.
sums of money.
And you know, I don't know the data. I'd love to see what the kind of the hit rate is on people actually either increasing or starting to consume a product because they saw it on a Super Bowl commercial. No, guarantee you compare that to a targeted social media influencer, their hit rate for people buying those products after and advertising those products is much higher at a much lower rate. And
Well,
that's really the
yeah.
gist of it, is you want people that give you bang for your buck when you're spending money to have someone advertise your product.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, to that regard, you're absolutely right. I can't imagine Bud Light paid this person $6 million to drink a beer. I just can't imagine. If they did, sign me up. I'll work for a lot less than that.
Yep.
But maybe not Bud Light. But in any event,
You got to
I
get
mean, you
those
sit there-
1.8 million followers.
why don't you knock it off you? But the thing is, with the Super Bowl ad, what your marketers are thinking of a cost per thousand. How many people are watching the Super Bowl, and what does that work out to be? If I put my product in front of 100 million people, what does that divide into, and all that stuff?
Right. What's our hit rate on it?
What's our hit rate, all that. It's a little bit more difficult with that. However, with what we're doing here with the social media influencers, with what Bud Light's doing, 1.8 million followers on Instagram, all that stuff, pay them a fractional amount. All of a sudden, they're probably going, that cost per thousand is really a lot less than what it would be for a social media. I mean, for a Super Bowl ad, and I don't have all that fluff. I mean, I'm going after people that I assume are going to be following. These people are going to be in that
Right.
underrepresented group that I'm trying to attract.
And there's so much data out there now. I mean, you could point out any person on social media, and you can find out who their demographic is, who largely follows them, what they're mostly interested in. And so if I'm trying to advertise my product, I can go find those people, whether they have 50,000 followers, 1 million followers, that most of the people that follow them are going to be interested in what I'm selling. And those are the people I'm going to go after.
Well, and influencers are becoming smart about it too, that they will link brands in their post, and then the brands will start sending them free merchandise, and so they're getting free merchandise, and eventually if they get so many followers, the brand's aware of them, and they can actually get financial money for it. And according to that Forbes article that I already referenced, in 2021 approximately $3.7 billion were forecasted to be spent specifically on influencer marketing.
That's a lot of money.
That's a
Well,
lot of money.
how much is spent on
It's an increase of 33% from
Traditional
2020.
media?
traditional media?
It's still
I
a
don't know.
fraction compared to what traditional
Right.
media, I would imagine.
And why? I mean, if I'm starting a company, that's the best way to market your products. I mean, the cost is minuscule compared to if I'm a small company with 10 employees. I'm not getting a bunch of national recognition, a bunch of TV time. Well, why would you? Why would you even want that? I could go pay people $1,000, a couple $1,000 for some smaller people that have kind of high hit rates on their followers, and that makes a hell of a lot more sense than going out and just trying to blast it to the masses.
I completely agree with you on that. But when we talk about influencers, really, are we really talking about anything other than paid spokespeople? Paid spokesmodels? That's what we
No.
used to call them back in the day, back when they were on the television. Now they just happen to be on our social
That's
media apps.
exactly what it is.
But we've come up with a new name for them.
We've come up with a
Right.
new name, I think partially because of the way people look at these people.
I got you.
First off, and two, they don't have to have any discernible talent either. I mean,
Doesn't have to be a famous person.
right, it's not, this person's a great actor or what have you. I mean, they could be famous just for posting links to these very inconvenient water bottles all the time. I mean,
It turns out that's what I think
Hanging
a
on
lot
the
of
cup.
these influencers actually are. People of modest talents, but oftentimes appears very attractive appearance, and they end up being an
And-
influencer in that regard.
and social media in general, people start to feel like they know somebody better than they did when it was just a TV commercial with a famous person.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
there's more weight to it. If you follow this person, their everyday life, what they do, how many kids they have, their kids' names, just it gets real creepy. But people seem to love it on social media.
Well,
You
it's-
start to
Right,
value
I don't
their
think you'd say
opinion.
it's creepy.
You're
It is
absolutely
creepy.
you're absolutely right on that, because Courtney, back in the olden days, not so long ago, in order to get to know someone, and kind of know the children, all that stuff, you used to have to hang out in their bushes in order to really kind of get a better idea of exactly how they live their life and the window treatments and all that stuff. And now now you just go on their social media and people willingly give you all this information for free. I don't even have to work for it any longer.
Nope.
No more sitting in the bushes.
That's so true.
So when you take a look at things, Courtney, I mean, we kind of laughed when we talked about your Stanley Cups,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is the trophy that you get for winning the NHL.
Yeah.
It's a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you are very apt to be influenced. It sounds like I'm not terribly apt to be influenced, and I'm wondering if Sam is, and whether or not there are generational differences here.
I would not again, I think I say this every month, largely put myself in my generation for
Age
stuff
demographic.
like
okay,
this.
So
okay,
cynical.
okay, well, take you out of the equation and
Yeah, I
think
think
about
my
other people
generation,
in your generation.
I think 100%, and I think it's getting more and more so. And I've even seen it now being focused towards kids shows and these kids that put on YouTube videos. I
Yep.
mean, I think YouTube is largely ignored, has been ignored in our discussion so far. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about Instagram, but YouTube's a big part of it. I mean,
It
I know.
is.
I have so many friends that have kids that watch these same people open toys on YouTube or just these ridiculous concepts. These
Doing
influencers
what?
opening toys, doing
Yeah.
like reviews of toys. They make millions of dollars off of it, and now they have their own line of toys or what have you.
Right.
And now kids are wanting this kid influencers
But it's the
product
same
they're selling.
thing,
It's the exact same
back
thing.
in the day, I remember my mom would come home with the Sears catalog, and we would thumb
Wow.
through the Sears
I
catalog.
thought Sears was bankrupt.
Not when I
Wow.
was little, and I
Guess
would.
we are a different generation.
We are, thank you, Sam. But we would like tab, the ones that we wanted, or we were watching the commercial and it was like Barbie, and Barbie's, oh my gosh, she can go down the water slide, and she has her own little pool and her little Barbie car, and you don't see commercials like that anymore, right? Like I haven't seen Barbies in forever, but now the way that toys get marketed to children are really through YouTube or
TV shows and
yeah,
YouTube.
they're in TV shows, and my kids, they'll watch people playing games, like not board games, but like video games. They'll watch them, and I mean it's all G-rated. But I'm like, why do you want to watch someone doing something like that's boring to me?
So they watch shows about watching people
Play
play
games,
video games.
yes, and
But-
then like their commentary.
My point was that it's clearly becoming, even if there's already kids as young as 4 or 5 years old probably being influenced by people, this is clearly the way that things are moving, and I think rightfully so. The more data we get on the economics of it and how much it makes sense.
I wonder if this is a gender thing too, because I would beg to argue that both of your wives probably would endorse like a cleaning product or clothes or something like that if it didn't require them to go try on a bunch of stuff, be limited to what the store had. If they could see someone that's their size, like try on just a few outfits, like, oh, that's super cute, I don't have time, I'll just order it, I already know my size, like I'm good, versus, or I'm looking for a cleaning product or something like this, and that mop looks amazing, like I'm just gonna hit buy, like they've already endorsed it, I'm good. Because I think sometimes there's this negative connotation when you're like, oh, well, you're easily influenced. I'm not easily manipulated, but I do think that we're all consuming information differently, and they're marketing to us differently to make it easier based off how we're consuming information.
I would say that even Beth is probably a little bit more set in her brands than maybe you are or what have you. I mean, again, we've been using this stuff for a lot longer than Sam has, and a few more years than you have, Courtney.
Just a
So
few.
just a really just being
Yeah, just
one
a
for
few.
Sam. No,
So
just
rude.
a couple more for you. But like we know what kind of detergent we're going to use. We know what kind of dishwashing detergent. We know what kind of fabric softener. I mean, just all that stuff. We're kind of set in that. I mean, it was a couple of years ago. Beth came home with something from the Tyler Candle
Diva.
Works, Diva Wash.
Yeah.
That might have been something that an influencer got her or someone recommended, and it does smell pretty good. But I can't think of the last time we kind of brought something brand new into the house. She's very much of a Crest person. I'm very much of an Arm and Hammer. And just it goes down and down. We have our products that we like. We have our brands that we like, and probably not influenced too terribly much. However, Hannah's starting out, relatively early married, newlywed, and all that stuff, learning all the detergents and everything. I mean, she could probably be influenced far more easily than Beth could be.
And I think there definitely is an age component to it.
And there's
I
got to
mean,
be.
And just
people like my age and even
Yeah,
Courtney's age. I mean,
yours and Courtney's age.
Just keep digging. You both owe me $1, by the way, because I stayed off Instagram all of Lent, and I've yet to see any payment.
I'll give you
Fair enough,
30 silver coins.
It's $1. I just
Okay,
want $1.
Okay, but just in life in general, people get more set in their ways the more they've done things, no matter what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to argue that. I mean, if you're trying to influence people to try a new product, drink your new beer, what have you, I mean, it's ideally going to be people that are just now getting into those products, whether it's
Without a
people that
doubt.
are just now leaving the house and having to make their own purchase
Yeah.
decisions on toothpaste, for example, or turning 21 and now actually buying their own beer
Well,
instead of.
But if you're thinking of fashion, fashion changes. You can't buy the same shoes over and over again because they might not make them anymore.
I think that's more of a female problem. The guys' fashion doesn't change terribly much.
Yes, it does.
Ties have been around since the 1800s.
Well, ties, but are the ties
Polo
thin
shirts
ties
have
or
been
the
around
fat
for-
ties or
For
the?
quite a while.
I mean, like the shirt that you're wearing. I mean, that's more of the golf shirt that's become more popular. I would say in the last few years.
Polo
I mean, John,
shirt.
you're wearing your traditional button-down long sleeve shirt. I mean, that's pretty standard, like business attire. But like Sam, that's only recently been more accepted in the workplace.
But polo shirts have been around for.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a golf. That's like a light.
Oh, well, the thing is, he was influenced
He was.
by other people wearing golf shirts to work.
And did you not get that shirt for free because someone else in your family gets those shirts to wear them?
Yeah,
and
my brother-in-law.
right, and he promotes the brand.
But then, wait a second. That's not the same thing as an influencer. An influencer, influences you to purchase a product. It's the influencer
But-
doesn't give you a product.
But the brand gives the influencer the product to then wear and inadvertently like promote their product or directly.
Well, how many products have the influencers given you?
Well, I don't promote products, so
Except for
I
the
should.
Stanley
I should
Cups.
I should be hashtagging Stanley to see if they would send me stuff.
It does sound as though Courtney is very easily influenced. I mean, I think she used the word manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
earlier.
not.
Her words,
easily-
not ours.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's just, I mean-
y'all are the worst.
She certainly. I think she can be manipulated.
Well, she said it.
Yeah, she did say it. That was her own words.
Well, 70% of people between the age of 18 and 29 are on Instagram. So that's a large demographic of people that are probably following some form of influencer.
And the thing about it is, when you take a look at Dylan Mulvaney's 1.8 million, probably heavily skewed. I'm just
Yeah, I think that's
I'm
good.
just making some assumptions. More heavily skewed towards females, probably, and more heavily skewed towards maybe that 15 to 30 year age. Probably not a lot of men my age and older. And so that's the group that I think Bud Light probably wanted to try to get more females drinking the beer, and obviously getting people as they're coming into making their brand decisions. Try to attract those people in some form or fashion. I think someone once said that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
There might be.
And well, there might be. We'll have to see. It's too early yet. But the thing about it is, when was the last time people talked this much about Bud Light?
That's true.
So we'll see whether or not it all works for them. If it does, gee, I think that'll be a case study in business school about how social media influencers really can move product. If it doesn't work, I think we'll probably get a new marketing team at Bud Light.
Yep, I
Sounds
would
fair.
agree.
All right, guys, thank you all so much for listening. We always love to hear from you all. So if you have any comments or questions, please, by all means, let us know. You can always leave us a review on the podcast outlet of your choice, or you can drop us a line at tradingperspectives@oakworth.com. Of course, if you're interested in reading more, hearing more of what we have to say or how we think, please go to oakworth.com. Take a look underneath the Thought Leadership tab for all kinds of exciting information. With that, guys, y'all have anything to say on this topic?
That's all I got.
That's it, John.
That's all I've got today, too. Y'all take care.